Welcome, everyone. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm a mind-body physician. I've been working in mind-body medicine for decades now, trained as an emergency physician, but there's so much more going on beneath the surface that I was aware of and tuning into. So I've changed my entire practice to really begin to honor that and assist in this more expansive way. And this is really, hi Norma from UK, this is really part of this awakening. It's not unique to me that I had this like major change in my career and major real inspiration to do something more expansive. It's happening for so many of us. And this new system is really getting created from the inside out. So if you, like myself, have felt that, that awakening of like, whoa, there's got to be more for me. I really want more, the inspiration to make some major changes, but then it doesn't make total sense. Like, well, why would that make sense? If I do that, I won't make money. Or if I do that, no one will like me. No one will understand me. There's a big shift that's happening that will really assist you in stepping into this expansion more fluidly. So for me, and I got like 75 emails, I think, on that email that I sent out. It was a blog I did this week, about I'm coming out of the closet. And it was a huge awakening for me to begin to see all these ways that I was kind of still plugged into the matrix of these beliefs and ideas and like this world of limitation, not even realizing that that is what I was doing. Definitely experiencing the energy of it with like feelings in my body or things that would happen in my life that just were like, oh, this is not resonant for me. And so really being able to see like where that was coming from and where I was plugging into this real limited world. I need to be understood. I need people to get me. I need to make sense. I need to be accepted in that realm. It's not worth it. It is way too energetically expensive for us to continue to play that game anymore, because everything that's been ready to happen for me is like soaring forward at light speed. And so not only not getting to quite have it, but like feeling the turbulence of moving at light speed and having like even 2 degrees off course is like excruciatingly turbulent, not just a little bit turbulent. It's like really intense. And I was beginning to feel that. And it was like, where is this coming from? All this turbulence and these weird obstacles and this weird like, wait, I can't let that happen, or this isn't going to be okay. Totally unplugging from that, where like, hey, where am I still interested in what people think? Where am I still interested in people need to understand me and get me? And where am I still interested in being validated in that world? Because those were all the things that were like keeping me 2% anchored into it. And like I said, even 2% turbulence, if you're moving at rocket speed or light speed, is super, super turbulent. So coming out of the closet is kind of like looking at all the ways that I haven't been fully seen in all of who I am, where I'm still kind of like dampening it or like not being as overt about it, or maybe hiding behind certain structures. And for me, it's like, whoa, no way. I am not vested in that anymore. I am fully and completely vested in who I really am. And realizing, because I was working with this one woman who's like an energy intuitive kind of person, and another woman who does this like chakra clearing stuff that had happened the day before and released so many things I was plugged into. It was amazing. So it kind of set things up for all of this to happen. That's been ready to happen for years and years, and so much work that I've been doing took place like that. And it was like I could see things and know things to a much higher degree. And then I wrote that email and shared that video. I'm coming out of the closet. It's posted on my YouTube if you want to see, if you didn't get to see it. And it was incredible. Something so much more is able to come through me. So I wanted to share a little bit about that, and I'm going to look at some of the comments. Hi, everybody. All right, so here we go. Nicole says, this is so perfect for me right now. Bayari, also from UK. Hello, great to see you. Nicole says, I've been in the same boat recently. It's so intense and crazy, but I am receiving it with grace and ease most of the time. Yeah, that's awesome. Do the best you can. Grace says, Matter and Source Dance Cha-Cha. Evalie, oh my goodness, I have felt so incredibly anchored in a horrible energy lately, and I've been wondering what on earth to do. Well, this was really, really huge for me and I had to look at like, what is keeping me anchored in that? Where is the deepest fear? And so I felt into it, and it was, because it's really kind of always out of love, but we've not anchored into pure love. We've anchored into like pseudo love, which is like love through fear. And I really love my mother, and I really don't want her to suffer or be afraid or be worried about me or any of that. But as I was growing up, it was really, really challenging for her to be raising a child who's super intuitive, super aware, has all these like strange things happening in my dreams or talking to spiritual beings. And she would just freak out, which I can totally understand because she had no idea what to do. At one point, I got put in a mental hospital. My anxiety was so severe, I was beginning to kind of lose the grounding into this foundation of reality and like really begin to perceive other things I had no spiritual basis for this whatsoever. So I was put on medication, let's suppress the anxiety, let's suppress all these things that are going on. Like I had no idea what was going on, except maybe I'm possessed by the devil, because the only foundation I had that was pseudo-spiritual was this religion I was raised in, which had a really distorted perception of a lot of things. So it was really hard for me, and I eventually learned, like, Kim, just shut up, fly under the radar, and you will get through and eventually find your home and be able to kind of settle in and figure this whole thing out. And it was like at least 10 years of living my life that way. Like, just dampen it down. Don't be so perceptive. Don't let anyone know what's really going on for you. And everyone will be okay. And especially with my mother, who I did not want her to freak out. I did not want her to worry about me. Like, to this day, she still will be like, are you doing okay? Someone said da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, no, I'm actually fine. It's really not that big a deal. It's okay. And like trying to reassure her. But I realized it came from this place of proving that like I'm not weird or I'm a normal person. And it was like, you know what? I'm not a normal person. And my husband, we joke about it all the time, because when I'll say things like that and I'm like, oh, maybe they just think I'm not normal or something. And he'll be like, Kim, you're totally not normal. And then we laugh about it because I'm like the furthest thing from normal. But any ways where I'm like pulling it off as if I am, I'm going to lose energy. And it's too expensive to live life this way. So I did realize, like I said, I felt down into the deepest parts of it. Like, where am I still anchoring into this other reality where I can't be all of who I am? I can't be this weird or out there or function the way I really function. And so I made a lot of changes. I actually booted some people from my email list, and that just gave me a lot more space to feel like I can have the conversation I need to have, and it doesn't need to freak people out so much. So I gave myself full permission to let my mom have whatever she's going to have about it. And not like she's seeing things so directly anyway, but just energetically, we've got to let people go. Like, it's okay to let them have their pain or have their fear, because I'm not the only one ascending and awakening. We are all ascending and awakening. And so the more full out I live, the more of an invitation it is to everyone. Randy says, I'm definitely relating to this as I'm close to launching my blog, because the way I'll be expressing myself and what I'll be sharing there in many ways is different from some of my friends and family, so it feels scary. This is the biggest thing with the practitioners I work with, and we have the collaborative starting up like in a week, that I see hold people back is the fear and shame of, what will everyone else think? Who do I need to be for them? How do I need to be to function and get what I think I need from the world? So being willing to let go of all of that, because one of the things I was working with Zoe Davenport when this all happened, and she said, you are fully and completely supported in being all of who you are. And I wrote it down on the back of my hand, because like the rest of that 24 hours, it just felt so good to remember that. Like, I'm totally supported. The whole universe has my back in stepping into this and in unleashing from all the other stuff. And this is one of the main reasons why I'm really excited to collaborate with other practitioners who are also awakening and doing it outside the box and creating things that go beyond what we've already known or already created. So things like, well, I have these extrasensory capabilities, but I have no idea what to do with them. Or I really want to help people, but am I allowed to because I don't have blah, blah, blah degree or training? Or I'm doing this, I need to keep doing it this way because this is what's been working for me, even though I really want to do something more expansive. So as we begin to awaken to our gifts and talents, which maybe right now you're just feeling it as the inkling of like, oh, I don't like what I'm doing. I really just want to do more. You might just feel it like that, my life feels stale and hard and I'm upset and not happy. That is the resistance you've been holding kind of juxtaposed to the awakening that is happening at the same time. If you weren't awakening, you actually wouldn't be dissatisfied in the status quo of where you've been. It's really when we begin to awakening that we're like, wait a minute, this old way is not okay anymore. I want so much more. Or we begin finding that we have these weird gifts and talents that we have no context for, we don't understand. And it can be like it was for me. I was really young in high school, really disturbing, like what the heck is going on? And it took over a decade to finally begin to connect with other people who had some kind of construct and context for this to help guide me through. And it was like Joan Borisenko, Herbert Benson, like mind, body, medicine, physicians. That was kind of the first introduction I had to it. But then way more expansive leaders and spiritual healers who really assisted me massively. Evalie says, oh my goodness, I felt so incredibly anchored. Okay, yeah, I read that, sorry already. In horrible energy lately. So you can let yourself, invite yourself to release from that. And just kind of like I did, wherever I'm anchored in that reality, delete. It's okay for me to let that go. And the fascinating thing is, stuff will happen in your life that gives you the opportunity to choose that. Like, I had a conversation with my mother last week, and she called me up and had read something I wrote, and she was like, or no, hadn't even read it. Someone mentioned to her, Kimberly was, really upset, and she's all these things going on, and whatever it was they said, she was worried. And when she called me, I said, Mom, that's not actually what's going on at all. I've never been better. I'm doing great. And she immediately said, I'm glad to hear that. I'm good. If you tell me that, I believe you. It's all good. So I know, like, for me, it's about the energy I'm anchored in, where I'm good that I'm good. I'm good with myself in a way that's deeper than I ever have been before. And I'm sure she could hear it in my voice that there isn't that uneasiness or being uncomfortable that she's in fear or that she's worried about me. Whereas before, like, I couldn't stand that she was so worried about me because I was like, I really needed her to validate me. And that's not going to happen. She doesn't know how to do that. I have to be the one who can decipher and decode and truly stand in the power of who I am. Hello, Jimbo. Okay. Elena! Cassie Stigman, I've been focusing on this work to help me grow and evolve. I'm not quite sure how I'll introduce my work with my executive coaching clients. Sometimes it's new clients. If I were still thinking that my message is for doctors, I'd be living in holy hell. I spoke to a bunch of doctors a few weeks ago, and it was major energy for me to mobilize to get out there and present what I was presenting, and it was awesome. And for some reason, it was where I was. It was how it went. But it was a completely different energy than speaking to people who are really ready and asking for the message that I'm sharing. And a few years ago, I changed the whole way I was doing my business to be uber clear who I'm here for. I'm not here for everybody. I'm here for people who are so ready to awaken, ready to embrace themselves, ready to listen to the voice within themselves and say yes and like unanchor from everything else. And at that time, I'd been kind of speaking to people who were like, that's cool. That sounds interesting. Tell me more. Prove it to me. Okay, maybe, but I'm a skeptic. And it's so exhausting when you're speaking to people who aren't ready to receive what you're sharing, but it's so amazing when you're sharing with people who are. And that has 100% everything to do with like where I'm resonating and what I'm anchoring into and who I'm being. Crystal says, I'm coming out of an abusive relationship. How can I rid all the negative energy? So we can't really rid the negative energy per se. Not that you can't release it and let it dissolve, but it's more a matter of really honoring and appreciating what your journey has been. Okay, this is the energy I was in. This is what was completing for me to have all the clarity I needed to be able to leave. Because we don't really leave until we're clear. If we still have that little doubt, they can hook us back in, and then we engage in that dynamic of abuse. When we're really ready, there's no hook. It's like, okay, that's an interesting point of view, and I'm out of here. I'm done. And so then all of a sudden the door's open and we can walk out. So you've got to embrace that this has been your journey, and it took you as long as it took to release the dynamic. Now, victim perpetrator is the same energy. Even though it seems like one person's the bad guy and one person's the helpless, victim, we're both buying into the reality that I don't fully deserve to be loved and honored and celebrated. So I agree with you, my perpetrator, and I'm willing to be in that dynamic even if I'm fighting against it. But when you're clear, you actually emerge beyond it, and your energy and your choice invite the other person to do the same and to awaken as well. Really beautiful. Crystal says, so that is the best way to kind of allow things to complete, is truly appreciate what your journey has been and like, okay, now I'm here and I'm anchoring into this new truth. Hello, beautiful Elena. Linda says, wow, such a blessing to share. I believe so many of us can relate to flying below the radar in our own ways. Yeah, and it's really costing us so much right now. Maybe yesterday it didn't cost quite as much, but today it's going to be like impossible. So how can I let myself fully be seen? And with a lot of the practitioners I've worked with, it's been crazy how this little anchor, like I've said, hey, I'm kind of still anchored in this old world, but I'm moving over here to this more expansive thing. Let me just see how it goes. If we're not fully committed, we're going to keep feeling the old resonance of, I can't have what I need. There isn't enough for me. Money doesn't grow on trees. I have to work really hard. People need to understand me. And one of the biggest reasons I created the Awaken Your Business program, the collaborative, is to invite other practitioners to free themselves to operate in the fluidity of what their work is here to be. So you're a multidimensional being. Those rules of like marketing and social media and business and making plans don't actually apply when you're stepping into something more fluid. All of a sudden, the universe aligns for you to have everything you need just for showing up. So I used to think I need to do things this way in my business, or I need to make sure I grow. I need to make sure people know, I get the word out. But it really felt like contrived, and it felt like effort. Whereas just doing my work was totally effortless. And I've now, in the last few years, especially working with Sylvie Olivier, she's been an amazing mentor to me. It's opened up so much more, because as I've stepped into that higher resonance of who I am, everything is a reflection of that. My money, my business, how people find me, who finds me, so that people find my work who are really a match for what I'm doing. And for me, it was all about that solid commitment to really anchor into this. Okay. Niren says, these days I'm pretty open about my spirituality, even on my own Facebook page and with my parents. It can be embarrassing. It can trigger shame. It's completely different than when I used to paint myself as before, when I used to police myself from a place of fear that people wouldn't accept me and my authenticity. Yeah. And when I am no longer willing to judge myself or believe that I'm wrong or weird or that like this is not, there's something wrong with this. When I'm not anchored into that anymore at all myself, it doesn't matter even the littlest bit what anyone else thinks. It doesn't bring up anything at all for me. And what actually ends up happening is people who aren't able to receive it don't even come into my world or my reality. So it's a really, really powerful way to create. Grace says, unnormal is the new common. Graceful and confident expansion. Woo woo. So we don't have the collaborative ready yet, but I will be sharing something about that really soon. So for those of you who are practitioners and are excited to step into that group, I definitely want to make sure you receive that invitation. You can send a email to kim@drkimd.com. But we'll be putting the invitation out soon to those of you who are practitioners about that group. Randy says, and this is really like my life's work, because I have seen for a long time how many amazing gifts and talents are ready to come forward through a lot of us, but they're being suppressed because we don't believe I can actually be that powerful. We don't believe that it's actually acceptable. Like, I can't operate this way. It won't work. It won't be okay. We don't believe our world will accept us. And so like we bump it out ourselves. We reject ourselves. We don't believe that could actually create a business model. That doesn't make any sense. No one will get that. I met a woman the day before yesterday. I was out at lunch with my friend Nicola Dellinger. She's also an amazing multidimensional doctor. And we met this other really cool woman who were also at lunch, and she knew them and we're chatting with them. And they both do really amazing spiritual work, which in Durango is like really commonplace. But one of the women, when I asked her what she did, she's like, what do I do? Like, what in my work? Like, what am I actually doing? And she got really uncomfortable. And I said, yeah. And she said, well, it's really hard to talk about. Most people don't understand it. And it's like really hard to explain. And I said, yeah, I get it. What's it have to do with? And so then she spoke about it. And she actually spoke about it super, super clearly. How she moves energy, is that exactly what she assists people with, and then some of the structures and how she sets it up and how she works with people. And I said, yeah, it's funny. I get how you think like it's hard to talk about because most people don't even have a language for this. But I think all four of us kind of operate that way. So I totally get it. And that's awesome. And you know what? You probably don't need to know how to explain it to people who don't already have some kind of basis for what this is about. So all the people that you need to share it with probably already get it exactly the way you just said. And she's like, oh, and you could see her entire energy change and her eyes got really bright and she kind of like got present in her body and was glowing and was so excited. And then the four of us had this amazing conversation. And I thought, wow, so many of us hide, even though our world is right now, right here, ready to receive us. The people who you're here to assist or be friends with or be lovers with or collaborate with are already in your sphere of reality. But until you show up in the body, they don't even see you. They walk right by. Randy said, I also had a recent breakup with my best friend because of stepping into my expansion. It caused her to freak out. She's trying to control me under the guise of love, but in really unkind ways. I see that she's in her fear and I have compassion for her, but she was treating me in ways that were not my highest good. So to keep interacting with her was painful, but I see the gift in that. Well, there are a lot of things that will fall away as we step into our own light. And all of those things are things that really aren't serving us anyway. So any of the relationships or opportunities that could be something will evolve into something else and come back in a different way. But you really do need to let people have their pain or their grief or whatever it brings up for them as you receive yourself. Emily says, can you speak to the ways that we protect our discomfort, embodying who we are into others? I think i.e. thinking our partners or jobs are holding us back from being who we are, that they can't match us, etc. Yeah. It's a cop-out that we do. Like, well, I can't be fully expressed because I'm in this job structure, or I can't be fully expressed because my partner just doesn't get it, or I think that's what you're talking about. But as angry as it might make you be, it is always 100% a reflection of the ways you have committed to staying quote unquote safe, to being understood. And I can see this with my mom. I was in that dynamic with her, giving her my power because I was so afraid to if I really step into who I am, will I just evaporate off the planet? Well, no, I won't. But it took my own courage to stop letting her, not like she was holding me in place, but giving my power away to her because I was somehow not willing to really embody it myself. And so when I truly embody pure love, it's easy for me to let people be where they are or in their own limitation or be in the perspective they're in. It doesn't hurt me at all. And so would I choose a partner if that were truly what was going on? Usually it changes the partnership immediately. because I see this in my relationship with my husband all the time. Like, it is never about him. And so whenever I really step into what I'm ready to choose, it totally changes the relationship with him. So it's always a matter of like, how is this a mirror for where I'm not ready to step into who I am fully? Nicole, since making the new choices in my life, I felt so much stronger and a so much stronger spiritual connection. But that's what you will. Like, I hear things more clearly, like 10 times more clearly. I see things more clearly, and like things are happening so effortlessly. It's like, it's unthinkable. She says, I have these random visions of a thing. And then yesterday I had one of my big brothers who just passed away a couple of months ago. I've always known I have spiritual gifts, but I saw my brother. I just had one of my big brother who passed away a couple months ago. I've always known I have spiritual gifts, but I think I've been blocking them for so long. This is why there's been so much pain for you, is because you actually require that access to your own divinity for your body to heal. You actually require that access to your own knowing in order for you to live and be fully vibrant and fully excited and enthusiastic and fully alive. So the longer you suppress it, the more pain and more excruciating it will be. Hello, Peter. Linda says, you were awesome. Woohoo, thanks. All right. Oh yeah, so exhausting that it was. It was exhausting. And then when I posted the video from the doctor group in Chicago, I mean, the comments were amazing. It was just awesome. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what I see in the message that I was sharing. It's like, wow, this is amazing. This message changes everything. But it's all about where you're being received, you know, like how are you showing up and who you're in communication with. Linda says, it's so amazing when you're speaking your truth to those who are ready to awaken, embrace, and be themselves. Hello, Peru. All right. Yes, the costs in our health show up big time. Bianca, this message came right on time. Nicole, gosh, the tears have been flowing through this video. Thank you. I want to say also like how powerful it is for everyone when you do show up in your own truth, and or even just begin to explore it. Because like you're like, I don't know what my truth is or my message is, but just tune into that inner whisper. Tune into your heart. Tune into what is it that I know that I'm really ready to receive that goes beyond everything that's been in my quote unquote reality. What is it if I could just let myself have it even a little bit? One of my best friends is really frustrating because she hates her job. She wants to leave. And then everyone around her is telling her, but you can't. But what about money? But what about this? Are you going to do that other thing? But that'll be such a waste of time. You're not going to make money. And she called me and we talked this morning and she's like, I'm really ready to begin to follow my heart instead of all these things that my mind thinks and that other people are reflecting, because it actually will create way more in her life. And if her heart's asking her to step into something more expansive, it's because on some level, she has the knowing. It's already there. So it's never the risk we think it is. Okay. So what else did I want to make sure I touched on with this piece? Be willing to have courage, because just that little bit of what would really delight me today, what would really make more space for me to express who I really am or what I really love or what I'm really excited about. And these little changes go a huge long way, because that new part of you that's opening up, it registers like, oh, she's listening. Yes. Keep talking. More. She's ready to receive more. The only place we can ever receive more is to receive more of us. And when we do, 100% of the time, everything in our life will expand to be the reflection of that. Okay. What else do we have? So I'm just looking through the comments. Julia says, yes, me too, please. So if you do feel like you're resonating for this, like, yeah, there is something awakening in me, strange spiritual gifts and talents that I don't even understand, that maybe I thought was a bad thing, things ready to fall away, new things coming in. Keep knowing you are right on time, and keep letting your system know, yes, I'm ready to choose this. For those of you who are ready for the Awaken Collaborative, I'm super excited to put that invitation out soon. We do have the event coming up in June. So for those who want to work with me live, that is still available. The retreat, drkimd.com/retreat. And, Marcia says, I got laid off at 66 and I've been allowing fear and immobility. I want me back. So another thing with this is, how can that be the best thing that could have ever happened to me? Because a lot of times old structures fall away before the new structures come in, but they're not separate. They're both the result of you stepping into something higher. They're both the result of something higher awakening within you. So step A is all these things fall away. My lover leaves me, or I don't have that job anymore. But stay with it. Don't reject it. Don't let it shut you down. Let it have you say, hell yes, that's the best thing that could have happened. What is the process of life bringing me? If this massive thing fell away, that's taken up like 90% of my energetic fuel, that means something else can come in and fill that space. Always, always it means something else is coming in. It is 100% always evidence that there's something better coming in, something more coming in. Life is not, you can't live in a vacuum. So if you release a relationship, which usually that can take up a lot of our energetic currency, or a job, it is 100% validation that something bigger is coming in. Nicole says, I'm so glad you came out of the closet. So am I. I remember I used to kind of like secretly wish I was gay so I could actually just come out of the closet and be free and not hide anymore, because I didn't know how to come out of the closet of this like weird spiritual thing. Like, there's not a name for that. Well, I'm naming it. It's coming out of the spiritual closet. So many of us are awakening to really amazing gifts and talents. When I've spoken to medical students in the past, it's always been awesome, because especially osteopathic medical students, because almost all of them are empathic and almost all of them already know they're intuitive, but they've been like a closet intuitive. Like, this is kind of one of the reasons I came to this work, but now like I'm swallowed in it and I hate this world and no one gets me and there's no room for me to really be the healer that I am. So part of my mission is to create structures for intuitive, empathic beings to awaken fully and share amazing gifts with the world. Jen says, me too. Yeah, so we will join in this collaboration to create something truly magnificent that really goes beyond anything that's been created before. That will be the Awaken Your Business Collaborative. Make sure you're subscribed at drkimd.com, and we will be sending the email on that very soon. Cassie says, a couple of years ago, I began to experience lots of energy moving through me, especially interactions with prospective clients. It was really confusing. I found myself talking very quickly, feeling very fast energy inside. So when you learn to work with these gifts and talents, it is unlimited what you can create in business, what you can create for the results of those you're working with, what kind of unthinkable structures you can create as far as like what you're doing. Most people think inside the box. Well, I'm doing acupuncture, I'm doing coaching, I'm doing, whatever. But they're really operating on a template of what has already been created or what they already know. When we tap into the inner guidance, it will allow us to create something that goes beyond what we've ever known, that goes beyond anything that's already been created, and really something that serves you and your world more than you could ever imagine. All right, so I am super excited. We will complete today. We'll be here every week live at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific for MindBody TV and the MindBody community. Sending so much of you love, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.